Hey guys, it's Ginny Silver, and today I have the second audit report released from the California State Auditor that is looking closely at the EDD. Now, this report focuses on fraud prevention, the handling of fraud, and those who have been affected by frozen accounts due to fraud within the EDD. So I'm going to go through a few key areas that are addressed as issues in this fraud report, and then I'm going to share with you the recommendations, the changes that are going to be made in the EDD so you know what to expect, as well as timeframes for those changes. Audit report is entitled Significant Weaknesses in EDD's Approach to Fraud Prevention Have Led to Billions of Dollars in Improper Benefit Payments. Once again, I want to commend the auditor on her succinct and no BS titles. EDD's fraud prevention approach during the pandemic was marked by significant missteps and inaction. The EDD paid out about $10.4 billion on claims that it later determined might be fraudulent. About $1 billion of those were paid out by removing a safeguard against paying individuals with unconfirmed identities for discovering it had inadvertently removed the safeguard for more than a 4-month period. Now, for those of you who are currently undergoing an ID verification or recently completed one, you know that you applied for benefits and you did not have to submit, most likely, a single document to provide verification for your identity, and now the EDD is retroactively going through to clean up this mess. The EDD delayed responding to instances in which an unusually high number of claims under different names were filed from a single address. The most egregious example from this analysis was a case of more than 1,700 claims going to a single address. 1,700 claims to one single address. Now, what's even worse than that is that while many of you have not been able to receive your benefits due to a frozen account, the EDD has continued to pay out suspicious accounts. The EDD identified 26,000 addresses that it determined were linked to suspicious claims, but it only stopped payments to claims associated with 10,000 of these addresses. Now, the auditor looked at 3 of the unblocked addresses and found one with more than 80 total claims, 12 of which were still eligible to receive payment, and more than $300,000 had been paid to claims at this one address. There is a system in place at the EDD that automatically generates suspicious claims. It basically compares the unemployment data that's provided by the claimant with employer data. The process relies on employers to provide details about whether an employee who matches a claimant in EDD system is earning wages. There were 840,000 of these claims that needed to be generated, but only 113,000 of these 840,000 were actually reviewed. But because of the significant increase in the number of reviews generated, as the end of November 2020, the section responsible for performing them had completed only 113,000 of the 840,000 reviews generated during the pandemic. Now, staff do not stop paying out these claims. Once this system generates that a claim might be potentially fraudulent, they don't stop the payment on the claim until they have fully reviewed it and processed it. EDD paid about $10.4 billion in benefits to claimants with unconfirmed identities. Now, the EDD stopped payments from going to 1.6 million claims on which they could not identify the claimant, but they paid benefits to almost 597,000 other such claims. These payments totaled $10.4 billion. Now, the EDD removed a key fraud safeguard that they had embedded in their systems, and they had this removed for about 4 months. Normally, the EDD applies stop payment alerts to claims with potential identity problems. Early in the pandemic, the EDD removed these alerts. EDD mistakenly believed that other safeguards would continue to stop payment on these claims, and the EDD paid $1 billion to the unknown claimants before eventually reinstating the stop payment alerts in August. What about individuals who have filed to receive EDD benefits, but they are stealing someone else's identity? Well, individuals who report an identity theft issue send in that information on EDD's website. There's a single employee handling those filings. Not a department, not a team of people, a single employee. And that position became vacant in July of 2020. As a result, from April through October 2020, EDD responded to less than 2% of the UI fraud reports it received. Further, it had yet to address more than 77,000 fraud reports as of November 2020. Many of these reports likely involve victims of identity theft. Now, those who are victims of identity theft, someone has been collecting benefits under their ID, will be subject to paying taxes on benefits that they never received, in addition to a host of other problems. Next, the auditor goes through the EDD's lack of preparation left it unable to efficiently address two high-profile situations. Number one is the freezing of 344,000 EDD Bank of America debit cards. Second is how the EDD did not have a system in place for cross-referencing, matching, and identifying incarcerated individuals who filed for benefits. If you're one of many frozen accounts who either were frozen with B of A or are currently frozen with your B of A debit card, here's the back and forth between EDD and Bank of America. They've most likely given you the runaround, telling you to contact each separate organization without either side really fixing the problem. Now, on 9/18, Bank of America sends EDD a list of more than 309,000 accounts that it believes are fraudulent. 9/23, the EDD directs Bank of America to freeze 344,000 accounts, which Bank of America does. 9/29, Bank of America freezes 53,000 additional accounts demonstrating indications of fraud, in addition to those on the EDD's list. 10/3, the EDD's director issues a memo to Bank of America directing it to unfreeze the accounts that do not meet EDD's fraud criteria. 10/4, Bank of America only unfreezes 51,000 of the accounts that it originally froze. 10/5, EDD requests that Bank of America unfreeze the 344,000 frozen accounts it directed the bank to freeze. 10/31, EDD sends a list of 2,270 verified accounts to B of A to unfreeze. 11/3, B of A sends EDD a list of 104,000 suspicious accounts to review. 11/17, EDD sends another list of 2,280 verified accounts to Bank of America to unfreeze. 12/2, EDD sends another list of 3,000 verified accounts. 12/7, Bank of America notifies the legislature that it has identified more than 640,000 potentially fraudulent accounts. 12/30, EDD informs Bank of America that it already stopped payment on 99,000 accounts of the 104,000 suspicious accounts that Bank of America sent in November. So, most likely, if you have been undergoing an identity verification, you had your account frozen on 12/30. We now know that that's because the EDD did that before Bank of America would freeze those individuals, because Bank of America sent EDD over a list containing her name, and the EDD wanted to handle it before Bank of America did. The auditor states here that the EDD does not have a centralized way to track which accounts are frozen through B of A. They don't know how many accounts are frozen because they don't have a way to track which claimants have their B of A EDD debit card frozen. Next, they go over those individuals who received benefits while incarcerated. The EDD estimated it paid $810 million in benefits to 45,000 claimants who are incarcerated. In June of 2018, the EDD notifies the legislature that it is considering adopting a cross-match against incarceration data. It didn't do it. And then in 2019, it did the same thing. It notified the state legislature that it was considering adopting a cross-match, and it still didn't do it. In April, the EDD begins receiving PUA claims. In June 2020, once again, they state that they are considering adopting a cross-match against incarceration data. In July, PUA claims begin to spike. EDD's criminal investigations communicate with local law enforcement about specific cases of UI fraud related to incarcerated individuals. October of 2020, EDD develops a contract with a private vendor that claims it can provide access to incarceration records. November, 9 county district attorneys sign a letter announcing UI fraud involving tens of thousands of inmates and hundreds of millions of dollars. December 2020, EDD and CDCR sign a data sharing agreement. CDCR is the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So they have been talking about setting up a system since 2018, but they didn't actually contract with CDCR until December of 2020. The auditor then goes on to discuss how the EDD has relied on ununiformed and disjointed techniques to prevent imposter fraud. The EDD does not have a fraud department. It doesn't have a centralized fraud department. It doesn't even have like a team dedicated to this. It has several different units within itself that are each dealing with a different piece of the puzzle. So what are the recommendations that the California State Auditor is having the EDD put into action? The EDD has agreed to all of these recommendations. Recommendation number 1, to ensure its recession planning encompasses its fraud prevention efforts, EDD should develop an evaluation of the fraud prevention efforts that it can adjust during periods of high demand for UI benefits. Recommendation number 2, to prepare to respond to victims of identity theft who receive incorrect tax forms, EDD should, by mid-February 2021, provide information on its website and set up a separate email box for such individuals to contact EDD and receive prompt resolution. Recommendation number 3, to ensure that it provides appropriate assistance to victims of identity theft, by March 2021, establish a working group to coordinate the work needed to resolve each complaint of identity theft and make decisions about staffing levels necessary to accomplish the work. Recommendation number 4, to ensure that it provides legitimate claimants with benefits but does not pay benefits related to fraudulent claims, EDD should immediately obtain from Bank of America a comprehensive list of claimants' accounts that are frozen and unfrozen. EDD should immediately thereafter evaluate the list. By March 2021, it should direct Bank of America to take action to freeze or unfreeze accounts as appropriate. This applies to many of you that currently have your account frozen with Bank of America. If your debit card is frozen with Bank of America, by March 2021, you should be verified and should have it unfrozen. Recommendation number 5, to ensure it reviews each claim that Bank of America reports to it as suspicious or potentially fraudulent, by February 2021, EDD should establish a centralized tracking tool that allows it to review and stop payment to claims as appropriate. Recommendation number 6, by March 2021, designate a unit as responsible for ensuring coordination of all UI fraud prevention. And lastly, recommendation number 7, by May 2021, develop a plan for how it will assess the effectiveness of its fraud prevention tools. Okay, you guys, so that is the end of the second report released by the auditor. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please click like, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below. Hey guys, it's Ginny Silver, and today I have the second audit report released from the California State Auditor that has been working to audit the EDD. How many times did I just say audit? Probably about 10. What's the synonym for audit? I don't know. 12.7. Bank of America notifies the legislature that it has identified more than 640. It's not that many. Yeah, it's so bright. In June of 2018, the EDD notified the legislature. I have to record it all over again because my memory card, my thing didn't record. I was just talking to the camera and nobody was there. Doing it again. Guess who's getting a COVID test? That's right. E. What do you think? Do I have it? Do I not have it? I don't know. Something weird's going on though. What if it is?